Welcome back to Brad's Garage. Today we're working on our 2013 Mini Cooper S. We were driving the other day and the check coolant, the little warning light flashed on the screen. So we had to pull over and check it out. So ends up, we got to tow it home. We see obviously spray, so we can assume that we got a busted hose. Brought it back to the house. Added some water just to kind of see if we see anything obviously leaking. And I know it's kind of tough to see, but that little T-junction there with the little coolant pipe goes to the reservoir into the turbo. That little T is bad. It's a plastic T, so it's a common issue. So we'll show you how to get it swapped out and get it done. All right, so first step is we got to get the car up in the air. So we're just using ramps to make it a little easy. We got our catch pan, so we're going to go underneath and pull off that lower radiator hose and drain whatever's left out of the system. So we got a clamp here. We're just going to pull this off. Okay, and then you might need to get a little tool to free it up. So I got a little hook tool, walk it around the edge, make sure it's free. Okay, got it loose. So while you guys have it apart, it's a good idea just to go ahead and flush everything. So we'll just fill up the little reservoir here and kind of just flush the system a little bit. Since we're going to be taking things apart and we don't know how much coolant we actually lost, then we'll just go ahead and flush it through. And then you can send it up each side if you want. So now we're ready to remove a few things. In order to get this hose that's down here, where my finger is, that clamp, the T there, that's where it's, we believe it's broken. That's where we see it leaking from. We're gonna need to remove the reservoir and the little charge pipe here. So if you haven't seen, we posted another video on replacing the charge pipe on this car. So we'll link that below. Check that out if you need to replace that. But let's start getting the things apart. Grab a 10mm to get your reservoir off. And we can go ahead and just take the overflow clamp off. Depending on how long it's been on there or if you ever got it off before. So, all right. Okay, now this kind of lifts forward. Let me move this so you guys can see. So it kind of has like a little groove that it sits in. If I remember right, it sits in a thing in the bottom. Yeah, so you have to kind of tilt it towards the back and then it comes free. All right. Let's see, do we have access for the clamp? Not really, not really. So let's just leave that there for the time being. And let's go ahead and remove our charge pipe. So this is just a 7mm. Loosen up both of those clamps. Okay, and then just grab a hook tool. You're going to unhook both sensors. And then there's one here. Okay, so you can go ahead and just wiggle it off the turbo here. Get it there, and then this should just pop right off. And then we have, well, that just came out, but you might need a pry tool to pop that off. And then here, this clip keeps falling down, so I'm just going to hold it up as I give it a little help. And then this will just pull right off. Okay, so then we should be able to remove that. And get that charge pipe free. Okay, now we can kind of just lift up that reservoir, and you can see it has a quick connect. So just grab your hook tool, pull on it, and then you might need to just get a little something to free it. It should just pop off. Okay, so now we got our reservoir out, and we exposed our pipe. Okay, so in order to get to that clamp, which is all the way down inside there, we're gonna have to remove a couple things, get it out of our way. We have our little vacuum line to the turbo. You wanna grab that, pull it off. Okay, just remember it kind of went underneath the hose here. Remember the orientation. We're gonna move that up out of the way. We need to unplug the temperature sending sensor here, little sending unit. Just push down on the tab and pull straight back. That's just to give us a little bit of room. We're gonna have to lift up this wire harness a little bit and have access to this clamp. So let's see if we can get in there with our little tool. Okay. I'm just gonna squeeze it and grab at the same time and see if we can't. No, wiggle it off, but it's kind of on there. Okay, got it off. Hose clamp. It's going to be fun to put back on for sure. All right, so before we work on this bottom clamp down here, we're going to go ahead and remove the two bolts that hold the hard line. This is a 19 on the turbo itself. Okay, got that loose, and then here we have a 10 millimeter in the front. And keep in mind this has two crush washers that will need to be replaced. They look just like this, little copper washers, so one on each side that we will replace. So now we have all of the upper part of our hose free. Now if you look down there, I know it's hard to see, you see there's the clamp. That's the clamp that we have to get access to down there. So let's see if we can get our little pliers in there and get that off. Okay, so I think I got a grip on it. So now, like I said, now that we have everything loose, we might be able to move that clamp down. Okay, yep. We're able to move it down. Okay, perfect. And now let's see if we can get it to come off. I'm gonna get my hook tool. Not a lot of room down there, but I think it's just a smooth plastic piece, so we'll try to work it around. Yeah, okay, I think we got it loose. And then you should be able to just pull it out. All right. So as you can see, that's just a rubber piece that helps protect it from the oil filter housing. So yeah, there you go, guys. That's the issue. So these are, made on fittings, so that's why you buy the hose complete. This one, obviously, you could buy separately, but this piece is there. So as you can see, that's the problem. It's plastic, corroded, and it's busted off. So the new one, BMW, we just went with the OEM stuff. We'll link the product description below. We buy all of our stuff from FCP, so if this ever happens again, then we know this part is guaranteed forever. So what we want to do is match it up, and everything looks good. So we're going to go ahead and just keep the orientation on this one, pull this hose off and put it on. BMW helps us out a little bit. They give us a little spring tool, or clamp tool I should say, that holds the clamp in the open position so we can slide it on and then just kind of yank that off, because it is tough to get your pliers in there. So everything looks good. We're just going to transfer this hose and get it reassembled. All right, so let's go ahead and get this clamp off, slide it back. Okay, we'll slide that back. And then we just keep our orientation here so we know that our hose has come out straight, basically sticking straight up. So we'll just get our hook tool in there, free it up a little bit. Okay, and like I said, we have them both laid side by side. We're going to pull this one off. Oh, you can even see how it's rotten there too. So that was almost ready to fail. So besides the obvious problem that the T is completely broken, this thing is deteriorating, rotting. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and slide our hose back in position and make sure this is laying straight up. Put our clamp back into position. Okay, and I always like to try to put it back where it was. It makes an indentation in the hose, so just keep it consistent. All right, and then like I said, this has a trick little clip, so we should be able to slide it on, yank this off, get everything reassembled. So the old one has a little rubber kind of hose on there. I think it's to help with, it's really close to the oil filter housing, so the new one didn't come with it. We're gonna see if we can go ahead and put it on. So it has a little notch right there that goes to this notch. So we're gonna just try to slide it over. From BMW, from the factory hose, it looks like they kind of like silicone this in place, so there's a little epoxy holding it, and then of course the clamp that we talked about. So I don't really want to take it off because it's going to help us put it on. So I'm going to see if I can just strategically slide this over the hose. Yeah, I think I can get it on. Okay, perfect, without dislodging this. And then just get this lined up wherever that groove is. I see it. Okay, and basically just get it into position. Just stretch a little bit over it. Okay, that way this is not rubbing against the oil filter housing. So just swap it over and let's put it back. Now we're ready to insert it back in. So we'll just do this part first, obviously. Kind of just slide it on. I know it's not the easiest to see, but just get it back into position. Got to use my left hand. It's at this angle. All right, so just have to work it. Get your hand in there. It's hard to film and work at the same time, so just work it back and forth, shove it in. Just make sure you're fully seated on the flange at the back there, and then we can pull that clamp off. So just to confirm your hose, there's a line here. It just lines up with that little mark in the plastic. So that way when we get it set into position, you can see we set it on the turbo, set it like this. This is basically facing straight up to go to your coolant reservoir. Just another way to check the hose that you have it properly installed. So these are our sealing washers that you're going to need for the turbo side. So just remember, you got to get one on first, stick it through, okay, and then get the other one on the back side. And then we're just going to lift this up a little bit, get it in position, make sure you're lined up in the front, and then we can go ahead and get this one started. Grab your little bolt for the front, get that in as well. Since everything is still loose, you want to make sure you can get everything started and before you start cranking stuff down. Always go hand tight, a few turns, just to verify you're not cross-threaded. All right, so we're just going to snug this down. So I couldn't find any torque setting for this line, so keep in mind they are a copper washer, so I'm just going to snug it down. I'm going to say probably around 15 foot-pounds will do it. Keep in mind, you can always, if you see anything leaking here after you get the system back together and go for a spin, then you can always just cinch it down just a little bit more. So I don't want to over tighten it. There's no reason to crush those washers too much. So pin in the front. Okay, that's held in position. Okay, so now we have our hose. We have that. Now we'll just grab our hook tool and we're going to go ahead and just pull off this little clamp holder. I should just pull off. Yeah, okay. Grab our piece. Now our clamp automatically is in position for us, so pretty happy with that. So the upper hose clamp, they are self-locking or self-retaining, so you can get it into the open position, slide it over the hose, and then we can get our hose back on. Just get this out of the way, and then we can go ahead and put our upper hose back on. Just give it a nice wiggle, get in position, and then since our clamp is opened, we can work it around underneath the wire harness here, okay? Get it into position, basically. Okay, all right, so we got it back in place. We're just gonna use needle nose. It's kind of tricky. Sometimes these clamps, you know, after you lock them in place, then they just want to stay locked in place. It's kind of funny. But we're going to try to just strategically get some needle nose in there. Try to hold it underneath with our hand. Yeah, and we got it to pop. All right, so easier than I thought. So we can go ahead and plug in our temp sensor. It's just going to be pushed straight into the click. Give it a little tug, make sure it's there. And then we're going to get our, where's our little turbo line? Remember the turbo line went underneath. So we're going to slide it back onto that port. Okay. So we got that clamp, lower clamp, temperature sensor, turbo. Now we're ready for our reservoir tank. You can go ahead and put the clip back in the closed position and then get your reservoir kind of down and in. Clip it on. And then we're going to go ahead and get it in there and we're going to tilt it up first. Okay, get it into your top grooves and then it's just the rubber thing that you're going to push it into. Go ahead and slide your little overflow hose back on. Get our clamp. And then we can go ahead and get our 10mm bolt. Secure it back in place. Next up is the charge pipe. So just make sure and feed it under this wire harness. And I like to get it on the turbo side first. Actually, just before you put it on the turbo, you get it down below the turbo outlet a little bit, inlet I should say. And then we'll kind of line this tube up as you're lining it up with the turbo. Push your clip in, and then you can kind of just get this piece turbo on, and then this will clip into place. Get your clamps in position, and remember this went right here. Then the other side is easy. You have a lot of room. The hose is very flexible, so also push, make sure your clamp is down. Push until it clicks. So we're clicked there, there, and that way we won't have to unhook anything else, run the risk of breaking anything. Grab your 7mm. Get it snug. Double check your charge pipe is all the way seated. And then tighten it up. All right. Now if you move this out of the way, you can put your little hood insulation, little strip, weather strip back in. And now we're ready to start filling with coolant. All right, so you need to make sure you hook up the bottom radiator hose. So connect those two back together. I'm just gonna kind of face it towards the back. All right, so we got our full strength mini coolant here, G48, and then we got our distilled water. So we put in half a gallon of distilled, another half of coolant, and we're gonna mix this up a little bit, and then we'll start putting it in. So before you get too carried away, start filling, you wanna loosen up that little screw. We're gonna show you, that's the close-up of it, and then I'm gonna show you here. We pull back, you see it's right here, so just come straight in, and then you can see where the location is. So you just want to loosen that up. You're going to be watching air bubbles. They're going to be coming out of there as you're filling the system. That's basically our little purge. So we'll open that up a little bit, a couple turns, and then we'll watch for air popping up through there as we fill the system. The whole system completely empty holds about 1.6 gallons, I believe. So there's got to be some remnants of something in there, but we tried to flush it both ways in and out of the block, so there'll be a little bit stuck inside the block thermostat area, but do the best you can. So you'll see a little bit of residue come out, but you want to make sure it's more than just kind of wet bubbles. You want to make sure it's actual coolant, coming out. So you got all the air out of the system. All right, so after you've burped it, you confirm that you have fluid coming out of the weep hole. Then we're gonna go ahead and fill the system up to the seam. That's basically the max full line. We're gonna close everything up. And what I like to do, since we kind of sprayed coolant everywhere, I like to just give the engine a quick wash off, get some simple green, wash everything off, make sure all the coolant residue is dissipated. And then what we can do is take it for a spin and get it up to operating temperature and check for leaks. All right, guys, we took it for a quick spin. Everything looks good. We got no leaks. We're gonna let it cool down a little bit. Just double check the reservoir level. Make sure you bring it up to that seam. And other than that, it's quick and easy repair, not too bad. Be sure to check out the channel for other repairs we've done on our little Mini Cooper here, some other common maintenance items, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.